So a couple weeks ago, last webinar, we talked about the business automation framework. And this is very, very high level. Need to have a good strategy, get your bottom up adoption right, get your people using AI, and then top down adoption. So today we're going to talk about the top down adoption portion. Just as a quick refresher, bottom up is all about making sure your policies, your tools, your safety and privacy is all aligned to let all of your people use AI to make their jobs go a little bit faster, to explore use cases, see what's working. In that process, there are going to be some things or tasks that bubble up to the surface that people are like, chatting with ChatGPT and getting this output, I'm doing it every day for this task. Wouldn't it be great if it just happened automatically? Or maybe there's a chain of things that I'm doing. Could we just chain those together to be its own process? Or I'm hitting an issue where I have to type a lot to give it the information that it needs to give me something useful. Could we give it access to a database where it could get that information for itself? So you'll start to get uses where just the chatbot interface isn't quite cutting it, and you could use some more tools. So that kind of takes us to our top-down adoption. This is when you have to decide whether to build or buy specific tools for specific tasks, and there's a lot of them out there. So we'll kind of go through the tools that are available, sort of the two different approaches at a very high level, and then when to use either, and then how to start deciding on what tools to use. So broadly speaking, the top-down adoption type tools and use cases are going to separate into workflows and agents. So 2025 is supposed to be the year of agents. We've had some cool things. One of them I just showed you is the coding agent, Klein. But what's the difference between these two? So a lot of people are using the word agents to refer to like any AI tool. Most of them are, in fact, workflows, where it's really a traditional automation where it goes through a series of steps, but the LLM or the AI is involved in some of those steps. So an example from Solved, we have a AI note taker that'll create a transcript of our meetings. And then after the meetings have wrapped up, we have a workflow that'll send the transcript through a custom prompt that we've built. And then it'll send it to an AI, and we'll get back a structured list of here's a summary of what we talked about in the meeting. Here are the action items for the client. Here's the action items for Solve. And then here's our next steps. So it's a nice succinct summary that we can then send to the client or refer to internally to say, this is what happened on this meeting. So that's pretty cool. It certainly qualifies as a workflow. An agent, a real true agent, is something that can really think for itself on what needs to be done, take action, evaluate if that action got it the result that it wanted, decide what the next action is to take, and then keep doing that until it's got something done. So an agent really is like a digital employee that's able to do something. So both of these are at different stages right now. And I'll kind of talk about, currently as of March 2025, where are we at with these things? When do we use one over the other? So really quick here, you can think of your organization, your company, it's a bunch of tasks that need to be done. And you group those tasks by role. So somebody's role covers many different tasks, and they know how to execute those. Most of these require intelligence to know when to use them, exactly how to execute them, what the end result should look like. But there are people at your company that are doing these tasks. So agents are like when you have a set of those tasks that an agent might be able to do autonomously and execute. A workflow is when you take one or a couple of those tasks and create kind of an intelligent workflow that does those things faster. So really any task that requires intelligence to do, you probably could turn into an AI workflow. The answer is should you do that? It comes down to a function of speed. Is creating a workflow or buying a tool that automates a certain task, is it more expensive or faster than if a person were to do that thing? But the nice thing about it is if there's something that you do a lot, or it follows a very similar framework, or the amount of intelligence it requires is not that much, then a workflow can speed that up where now the person, whoever was in charge of this task, can now use their intelligence to go do other things. It's often like the really mundane things. An example of a workflow might be every hour, look at my Slack and email and my inboxes and tell me, like, is there anything in there that requires my attention right now? Or for every new message that I get, evaluate, is this something that I need to look at right now, or can I save this for later? And have criteria that you're setting. So that's an example of a workflow that could save you a ton of time and headache and the things that you don't really want to be doing. So the goal is really, like, our recommended process for a top-down implementation is make a list of tasks and all the tasks that like comprise your organization. You could get really, really down in the weeds. There's an optimal level of granularity there, but create a list of what are all the tasks that need to be done, and then identify which are the ones that could be automated. The things that this has always been true, but there's always been the ability to automate using code or other tools, create workflows that get things done. What's different now is that a lot of those, now the list of things that can be automated has expanded to include the list of things where you need something that's smart that can make a decision. And so it really has expanded quite a bit the amount of things that can be automated. So thank you once again, everybody. Appreciate it. And tune in next time. We'll talk about agents. Thanks.